What's up, YouTube family? I know it's been a minute since I posted, but I had to take a break to get my mind and body right. So it was a good time off, but now I'm back full time. For the people that have seen me at MGM, I appreciate y'all saying that y'all like my videos. Appreciate playing with y'all. If anyone else wants to link up at MGM or any local casino and play, just hit me in the Telegram link that I'm going to put. And also, if you want to play online poker in the times where you can't make it, I normally play every day. So I will give you all of the information if you hit me on Telegram. But without further ado, let's get right into the hands. Let's go. Okay, nothing better than seeing pocket aces your first hand. So I decided to raise it up to 15. I pick up two callers. We're off to a flop which comes 10, 9, 9. Not the worst flop, but somebody could have a 9. But regardless, I decided to bet out for 20. Only the button sticks around with a call. So when we're off to a turn, it is a king. This could be concerning because Queen Jack, which was open-ended, now has a straight. So at this point, I'm going to keep on betting until my opponent tells me they have a better hand. So I decide to put out a bet of 40. Trying to get called by a weak 10. I'm thinking he's probably called with top pair. So I don't want to go too large. I'm going to give him a price that he could probably call with if he doesn't believe that I hit the king. So the $40 bet does get him the call after a moment's thought. And now we are off to the river, which is an offsuit 5. So I'm thinking if I should check and maybe he'll bluff at it. But if my thought is correct and he just has a 10, he's going to be happy to get the showdown. So I decided to put out a bet of 60, thinking maybe he'll put in a hero call, but actually we get the bad news and he jams all in. And I'm looking to see how much it is. It's another 250 more to me. And I'm first thinking, okay, is he bluffing or is he going for value? If he's bluffing, you just always call. And if you think that he's not bluffing, I have to find some hands that he could be overvaluing that I beat. So let's say he had King 10 or King Queen or Ace King. Those would be hands that he could possibly have that he thinks is the best hand that I do actually beat. But in this 1-3 game, most of the time these river jams are just so nutted that you can just exploitatively fold. If I was in a tougher game with more pros, I probably would very heavily lean towards calling, but in these games it's just easier to fold. You lose so much money trying to go for them hero calls when somebody's trying to tell you they have a strong hand. So I fold, and he doesn't show me what he had, even though I show the aces face up. He does claim that he had King 10 when he left, but he didn't show, so we never know. And I think that's awfully ambitious when anybody could have a 9 in that hand. So you can leave in the comments if you think that that's really what he had, or do you think that he was lying and he probably had me beat? Alright, I know that last hand was pretty long, but it was a huge pot. But in this hand, we have Ace King, and we're in the small blind. There's a middle position raised to 10. Obviously, we're going to bump this up with the premium. So we raised it up to 40, and our opponent doesn't think about it for too long and decides to call. We are off to a flop which comes ace 9 3. So we have this board pretty much locked up. So I decided to put out a really small bet, hoping he would continue with close to anything. But unfortunately, the price of 20 is too much. He must have super whiffed, and he folds, and we are off to the next hand. In this hand, I'm under the gun with King Queen offsuit. I raised to 15 and only the big blind calls. We see a flop which comes Queen Jack 6, and when he checks, I actually decide to check as well. Obviously, I do have top pair with a really good kicker, but sometimes you have to play your hands a little differently. Maybe he'll bluff the turns, or maybe he'll catch up with something. But at the end of the day, I am missing value from straight draws such as Jack 10, second pair, or even bottom pair that will call it bet. But sometimes you have to change the way you play and see what works for you. So anyways, the turn is a 7, and now I'm going to go for a bet of 10. And he decides to call. So now the river is a deuce. And on this river card, I actually am going to size up a little bit compared to my $10 turn bet. I bet out for 35, thinking that maybe he won't believe that I would check top pair and would call me down lighter. But that's all for naught. He ends up folding and off to the next hand. Okay, so for those who skipped the intro, if you want to play online poker with tons of daily high hand bonuses and monthly free rolls, shoot me a message on Telegram. Also, if you want to come to the home games or you want to meet up at a live casino and play, I'm pretty much free throughout the week. Shoot me a message on Telegram and we can make it happen. I appreciate y'all. Back to the hands. So I decide to table change, and in this hand, I have Ace Jack on the button. I raise it up to 20, and I get two calls. And we are off to, I guess, a decent flop. It comes Jack high, but it's monotone with clubs. Obviously, I do not have one. And when it checks to me, I put out a bet of 30. That's about half pot. I could be going a little larger, but I decided to go to 30, and I shed one person, but I do get one hanger on her. So we are off to a turn, which I'm hoping is not of club. But of course, when you say not of club, you know what's coming. It is the fourth club, putting four clubs on the board. I have none. And now I have to decide when he checks to me, do I want to turn my hand into a bluff or do I want to just try to get the showdown? Of course, being the aggressive player that I am, I decided to put out a bluff of 65. But now that I'm thinking about it, that's a very bad bet because anybody could have been hanging on with the club. And unfortunately, the moment that I see he calls my bet, I know that he has a club and I'm behind. So we get to the river, which is a queen. I have to decide if I want to shove all in, but obviously that's stupid. It goes check check. He shows 9-10 with the 10 of clubs. So he was having a gut shot on the flop with a club and he hit his club and I gave him 75 more dollars than I needed to. So obviously this is a bad play, but it happens in poker. We've all been there and you got to shake it off. All right, this is just a hand that shows you that live poker is alive and well. But nonetheless, I have pocket kings. There's a straddle, so I raise to 22 under the gun. There's one caller, and then there's another caller. So now when it gets to the hijack, they decide to go all in, which is 152. So now I decide to go all in for protection, and now we're just heads up, and we're going to see a run out. The flop is Queen 9-2. All clubs. I don't have one, so that's not the greatest. But the turn is a brick, and the river is a club. And you guessed it, my opponent had ace 9 offsuit with the ace of club. So they shoved all in with ace 9 offsuit, which lets you know that live poker is very much alive and well. And so you can't get upset with this. These are the hands that you want. Obviously, ace 9 off is still going to have almost 30% equity versus pocket king. So in the long run, you're printing money, but you do have to accept that one out of three times roughly this is going to happen. You're going to lose. Not to be upset, but just know that you're at a good game and people are gambling. And just wanted to include it because that's part of poker as well. Okay, so this is one of the worst play hands I've ever did in my life. So we have ace king offsuit and we raise it up to 20 pre-flop. We get two callers. So I see about here for 20 on a 6-4 deuce flop. Obviously this doesn't hit my range great, but I can still have all the overpairs. So my C bet's not too bad, but when you get two callers, you should know to shut it down unless you improve. The turn is a 9, so this is when I'm supposed to shut it down here. But what do? When it checks to me, I decide to bet an obnoxious, unnecessary $90, really trying to rep like I have aces or kings. And unfortunately, the opponent to my left calls, and the opponent that checked to me to my right actually decides to min raise to 185. So obviously, I'm going to fold, but the point is, there was no reason to bet here. You got to know when you get called in two spots that somebody has a good hand, and with ace king high, it's just unacceptable. But I like to show you guys and ladies the good plays that I make as well as the bad plays that I make, and we all make bad plays. I'm just showing you what mine are. So what ends up happening after the buddy to my right goes 185 is the person to my left goes all in for about 270 total. And when we get to showdown, we see that the guy to my left rivered a boat with 6-4, so he flopped two pair, rivered a boat, and my opponent to my right had pocket nines, and he turned the set and rivered a bigger boat, coolering the other boat. And obviously, with ace king high, I was behind the whole time. Pre-flop, flop, turn, river. And if there was a street after that, I'd be behind there too. So Anyways, that's the last hand of this session. And we're going to go to the outro and see how we did. All right. That's it for the session. We were in for 400, out for 440, profit of 40. You're probably wondering how I made a profit, but there was a lot of hands where maybe one person raises 2-3 callers, I squeeze, and everyone folds, collecting dead money. I didn't include those. But next video, I promise, will be longer, more hands, more exciting footage, I promise. I look forward to seeing y'all on the virtual felt, along with at the live casinos when I see y'all. I appreciate y'all and all the support. And as you already know, holla.